Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are stepping way back in time, into the world of ancient Rome, a civilization of incredible power, unbelievable spectacle, and, as we'll see, some surprising intimacy.
Okay, let's just dive right in with this. Look at this gladiator's helmet. It's scarred, it's weathered. It makes you wonder, right? What was it actually like to put this on and face death just to entertain a crowd of thousands?
To even begin to understand a world that could build something like the Colosseum, you first have to grasp the immense power of Rome itself. And that power was forged and carried by its legendary legions.
You know, the might of Rome really rested on the shoulders of its army, which was just so organized and disciplined. But these legions weren't just a fighting force, oh no. They were the engine of the whole empire, building the roads, the bridges, the forts that held it all together. And the wealth they brought back, that's what would completely change the face of Rome. And this, right here, perfectly illustrates the two sides of that whole story. On the one hand, you've got the gleaming, perfect image of the invincible Roman soldier. And on the other, you have the gritty reality that archaeologists dig up, the corroded, well-used tools of life and death.
So Rome has all this power, all this wealth. What do they do with it? Well, let's head to the very heart of Roman public life and see how the spoils of war were turned into the greatest show on earth.
The Colosseum, I mean, this thing wasn't just a stadium, not by a long shot. It was a massive statement of Roman dominance. It was actually funded by treasures they seized when they conquered Jerusalem. So it was literally a monument built with the profits of empire, a gift from the emperor to his people. Now this slide is just fantastic because it kind of peels back the walls and shows us the secret behind the spectacle. Just look at that complex structure underneath, a whole maze of tunnels and elevators and trapdoors. This is the same kind of military-grade engineering they used to build siege engines, now being used to create a fantasy world up on the arena floor.
And when I say fantasy world, I'm not kidding. The engineering was so advanced that they could flood the entire arena with water to stage mock naval battles for the crowds. Can you just imagine sitting there watching warships battling it out in the middle of Rome? Incredible.
But of course, the main event, the reason everyone was there, was the gladiators. These were highly trained fighters, each with their own distinct style and gear. You had guys like the retiarius, who fought with a net and trident. And the best of them, they weren't just fighters, they were huge celebrities, basically heroes to the common folk. Okay, so we've seen the battlefields and the bloody sands of the arena. But what about day-to-day life? What was it like for an ordinary Roman? You know, it's so easy to focus on the emperors and the great armies. But sometimes the clearest window into their world comes from the smallest things. It's in these everyday objects that we can find a real human connection to the people who lived back then. Take this comb, for instance. I mean, it's a simple object, right? But the careful craftsmanship, the design, it shows a concern for personal grooming, for how you present yourself that feels, well, it feels surprisingly modern. And look at this. Even something as basic as an oil lamp could be a tiny piece of art. This one, shaped like a dog catching a hare, it just reveals this appreciation for a bit of fun, for humor, and for real craftsmanship right inside the home. And personal items, like this tiny little gold earring, tell us so much. They speak to fashion, yeah, but also to personal wealth, to social status, and to the incredible skill of the Roman artisans who could make something so delicate. And once you start looking, you realize there was this whole ecosystem of objects that supported their daily routines. They had specialized tools for absolutely everything, from an elegant dinner party all the way to the very public ritual of going to the baths. Okay, let's move into our final section and see how this focus on art and daily life connected to their deepest beliefs and to the legacy they left behind. You see, Roman religion wasn't just something that happened in giant temples, not at all. Pretty much every home would have had a small shrine to its lares. These are the household gods who were believed to protect the family. It was a deeply personal, everyday kind of faith. And the big-name gods were right there with them, too. Deities like Zeus, the king of the gods, weren't just some distant figure. They were worn right on their clothes, on brooches like this one, as personal symbols of power, piety, and protection. And this desire for beauty, for meaning,
all of it came together in breathtaking works of art like this glass vase. These weren't just decorations. They were treasured possessions, things that held family stories and were passed down through generations as a connection to their past. So when we look at everything they left behind, we see a people who were defined just as much by their intimate, personal art as they were by their grand armies. Yeah, they built an empire of stone and steel, absolutely. But these small, beautiful objects, they really challenge us to wonder about the complex inner world they all inhabited.